All right, good morning, everybody. We're going to start today's training. Real quickly, just to go over, last week we spoke about the 80-20 rule. If you need to rewatch it, if you have any questions about it, you can always, as I said before, you can email me or you can text on WhatsApp, and you can participate on the mentorship WhatsApp group that we launched. And that's it. All the questions will be available for you to be answered. And that's basically it. So let's get into the skills. Now, in real estate, yes, we're selling a product. The product is normally a property. It can be also land, it can be a house, it can be multifamily, commercial, residential, etc. But what we're really selling is we're selling our skills. What you're selling when you go and you talk to for sale by owner, an expired listing, or a past client, or someone who wants to list their home, what you're basically selling is you. You're selling your skills. Now, the biggest challenge we have in our industry is that most people don't want to put the time, don't want to invest enough time into developing skills, and that creates a big problem. And the big problem is that people want to just jump right into working, like give me a client, give me a lead. And then they get a lead, and they get, for example, a sales lead who wants to sell their home, but then they don't get the listing. And the reason is because they don't have the skills necessary. Number one, phone skills, to be able to engage with someone over the phone or over a video conference like Zoom, engage with a seller, have a conversation, and then pre-qualify them. After you do this initial phone call, you need to pre-qualify. And after the pre-qualify, you got to go and drop a pre-listing package, and then you need to go into the house and start performing your listing presentation. And you better have a listing presentation already, practiced. So it's not your first presentation. When you go out there doing the presentation, you want to make sure that it's not the first time you're doing it, obviously. Now, will you get lucky by not having skills? Would you be able to get some listings? Well, if you do enough prospecting and enough lead generation, you got a bunch of leads, of sales leads that people want to meet with you, and you go out there, you're probably going to get some listings. But we're talking about, getting you to a point where every single time you speak with someone over the phone, you manage to book an appointment, you manage to pre-qualify the appointment, make sure that the appointment is really qualified, meaning when you go out there, they will list the home with you. And then you go out there and you do your listing presentation, handling objections. So there's a lot of different things you got to study, and that's the skills we're talking about. So you got skills you got to really know. And with sellers, like what do I need to do when a seller calls me, when I call a seller, etc. And all the sellers leads that are out there, we've got different sellers leads. For example, you have a past client who calls you and says, we want to list our house. There is a for sale by owner that you are reaching out to, expired listing that you're reaching out to. And then there is many other variations of sales, like for example, for rent by owner. You can also do door knocking. You can also speak with someone in a networking event, or someone else referred you a client that wants to sell, etc. So you got sellers skills that you really need to know what to say. And the skills we're talking about are mainly communication skills. You still need to have some lead generation skills as well. You need to understand how to work social media to your benefit. You need to understand how to work postcards to your benefit. And there's many different components of skills they need to build. But I'm talking right now about communication skills. And communication skills is really what's going to turn a lot of leads into appointments. That's what it's all about. How do I turn a lead into an appointment? How do I go with a lead from, for example, someone who wants to, told me he might want to sell in a couple of months, is just wondering what the home is worth. Can you give me a home valuation or CMA? And then you just go out there and so if you have no skills to meet with these people and convert the lead, if you cannot convert a lead on the phone into an appointment, a qualified appointment, meaning you're doing a pre-qualifying script as well, then you go into a listing presentation, handling all their objections, and walk away with a listing signed. That takes skills. You're not going to be able to do that right off the bat. You need to work on it. So that's number one, lead skills that you need to have, communication skills to how to talk to sellers. On the other side of the coin, you got buyers. You really need to understand how to do the follow-up. Buyers need a lot of follow-up, unless it's someone who called you and said, hey, I'm looking to buy your listing, and then you go show the listing and they put an offer. But that doesn't happen often. especially not in a normal market. I'm not talking about scenarios where you have bidding wars and the buyer's just sitting there on the fence looking for a new listing to pop up and everybody goes there and bidding. Talking about a normal market, which is probably what we're going towards right now. So here's what I'm trying to tell you. You got to learn skills, how to speak with sellers on the phone. You need phone skills, and you need face-to-face skills in case you're doing a face-to-face meeting with someone, or you do door knocking, or you come across somebody that you know face-to-face and they start asking you questions about real estate. You really need to know what to say. You need to have a plan on how to turn every conversation into an interesting conversation that then turns into a meeting, an appointment. And with buyers, it's very much the same, because you do want to meet with a buyer, you want to do a buyer consultation. You prefer to get a buyer's exclusive agreement, meaning the buyer agrees to work with you and only you to help them find a home. And they're going to be loyal to you as you're going to be loyal to them, and you're going to help them in the process. So in order for you to get a buyer call or an email or a text from a buyer or an online lead, and to be able to turn the lead into an appointment, that takes skills. All right, so we need to talk right now about the different skills. I'm going to go over a couple of things just to try to open up what that means in more detail. So top producers focus on perfecting their skills. They do that on a daily basis, and they practice their skills by practicing and role-playing scripts and dialogues. They understand that their production is a reflection of their skills. Okay, for example, an agent who does 10 deals a year naturally has less communication skills than an agent who does 150 deals a year. And I'm sure you agree. If I'm going to give you 10 leads and you can turn 10 leads into one appointment, and another agent can turn 10 leads into 7 appointments, who has better communication skills? So what it comes down to is not necessarily, it's not necessarily experience on the field. It's experience with building the skills. That's really what it's all about. Top producers make a commitment to improve on a daily basis. Improve what? Improve their skills, communication skills. Top producers also understand that developing skills is a journey. It's a process, okay? It's not going to be an instant event when you're just like going to take one script, read it 3 times, and you know it by heart. It takes time to memorize, and it takes even longer to internalize. Internalizing a script is when you actually take a script that you're not familiarized with, you read it, and then you chant it out loud, and then you handwrite it, and then you role play it, and then you record yourself, and then you listen to the recording, and you do all the exercises that we teach you to do until you own it. When you own it, it becomes yours. When it becomes yours, it's really, what we're talking about here. So top producers really devote specific time every day on their schedule to perfect skills, meaning that they do have something on their schedule, time block that they say, okay, I'm going to do that between 7:30 and 8 a.m. or I do it between 8 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. or maybe I'll do it in the evening between 5 and 5:30, 5:30 to 6 or 6 to 7, whatever time they devote to it. I met a lady in a real estate event in California, in San Diego, and she has been in the industry. I mean, I met her I'm talking 15 years ago. She is in the industry now probably 40 years, and she's a producer, very high producer. She makes more than between $2 and $3 million in her pocket every year on a 70-30 split, because her company is a 70-30 split. So the 70% that she takes out is between 2 and 3 million. You can just imagine, the volume that she's doing over there. And what I found fascinating about this lady is that she told me that she's been, since the beginning of her career, when she started with coaching, she started practicing scripts and dialogues, memorizing, internalizing, role-playing. She has like 3-4 role-play partners that she works with on a weekly basis, because she only works 3 to 4 days a week. So you're talking about a lady who works 3 to 4 days a week, who does $2 million in her pocket at the end of each year. And trust me, she didn't start at that level. She started, just like you are. But she took it seriously. She understood that her skills is what she's selling. Yes, we are in the real estate industry. We're selling homes. But we're not selling that when we go to a listing presentation. You need to sell the seller on yourself. You got to convince the seller that they should hire you. You have to convince the buyer that they want to work with you. And then you have to convince the listing agent when you work with the buyer to take your listing, to take your offer. You need to negotiate. So there's a lot of, our entire job is communication. You have to communicate with the buyer, you have to communicate with the seller, you have to communicate with your broker, you have to communicate with the other broker on the other side, you have to communicate with the attorneys, communicate with the appraisal, with the inspector, with so many different components in the deal that you gotta communicate with people. Now, if you're coming in from another industry, or you've never been a salesperson, or you had a job before and now you're trying to build your own business as an independent contractor, realtor, then what are you investing time in? So the majority of people just, I want leads, I need leads, I need leads, I need leads, I need leads. And then they go with these leads with no skills whatsoever, and they wing it, and whatever comes out, comes out. You know, and that's the majority. I'm talking more than 90% of agents wing it. But the 10% at the top of this industry that makes the majority of the money, they do exactly what I'm showing you here. So that's very important for you guys to understand. You need to accept it, and you need to actually follow it. At the beginning stage of your career, you really must fully devote yourself, and you got to focus on developing and perfecting your skills in prospecting, number one, which is really coming in contact with different leads and creating leads. Yes, you can buy leads, absolutely. You can go to Zillow, you can go to realtor.com and buy leads, no problem. But then if you don't know how to convert those leads, trust me, you just wasted money. So you can also do, create a lot of leads, generate a lot of leads by prospecting. And that's the number one skill that I'm trying to teach and coach everybody to focus on is prospecting, because when you prospect the right way, you can do a lot of deals. There's an agent right now in Rhode Island who is number one in Keller Williams International, number one in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. He does about 500 transactions a year, and he spends about 10 hours a day on the phone. 10 hours a day on the phone. What does that mean? It means that that's how you create leads. You are prospecting. You're trying to get a hold of people. And even if you buy leads, by the way, if you purchase leads, you will get phone numbers, you get names, phone number, email address, property information. You still need to reach out. You still got to make the phone call. And that's the prospecting piece. So you got to perfect your skills in prospecting, meaning you got to know the language before you start. Or as you go along, you continue. You also need to know your skills in presenting, meaning doing a listing presentation, A to Z, and handling the objections at the end, doing a buyer's presentation A to Z and handling the objections at the end, and then do lead follow-up, which is really what it takes to get appointments done. Because sometimes you're not getting an appointment the first time you call them, you got to follow up. And the follow-up becomes a game as well. So the follow-up is also a communication game. You can only be as good as your skills are. If you have poor skills, you're going to have poor results, poor production. So when I talk to an agent and I see that they did 6 deals, 8 deals, 12 deals, 15 deals a year, I know that their communication is medium to low. Agents that do 25 to 50 are about medium levels of communication. And then 50 plus have good communication, 100 plus excellent communication skills. That's just how it is. So I don't know how many deals you want to do. It really depends on what you want to achieve. You could have poor communication skills and do 5 deals a year. That's doable. You can also do 10 deals a year with poor communication skills. 10 deals a year, $7,500 per commission, per deal. That's $75,000. So you got a lot of agents walking around making $50,000 to $200,000 a year who thinks they're God in real estate, and when it comes down to communication skills, they have zero communication skills. What it means that the majority of agents don't have any skills, communication skills. They don't have it. They don't have it. They might have lead generation skills to generate leads, but not converting leads. Lead conversion takes skills. You need communication skills. So if you are capable of understanding what I'm saying right now, and you can work on it and improve it, then you can become an outstanding real estate agent. All right, developing your skills in lead generation, lead follow-up, pre-qualifying the leads, presenting, and handling objections. These are the areas you got to work on. All right, you also need to work on negotiating contracts, because when you do get an offer, you got to negotiate it. Sometimes say that you listed a property at 325. The seller tells you, listen, we're not going to take anything less than 310. You get an offer for 295. You need to negotiate it. You got to go back to the seller and say, hey, Mr. Seller, we got 295 here. I know you said 310, but this is the only offer we had in 6 months. So do you want to sell your property or do you want to keep it on the market until it expires? You got to have the skills, guys, to negotiate. So negotiating contracts. You also need to have versatility and personality styles. You need to understand what it means, like to be versatile. For example, if I'm a driver and I'm extremely aggressive in my approach and I'm talking to someone who is super sensitive, like an amiable, I can burn out the bridge very quickly. If I burn the bridge, my communication skills not going to help me because this person that I'm on the phone with is not going to listen to me. And if someone is not listening to me, then trust me, I'm not going to go anywhere with the lead. So versatility and personality styles, this is another thing that you need to study and learn. And so you can see just by what I showed you now, you can easily see that you have a lot of skills that you need to build. And by the time you get there, this lady's been doing it for 40 years. That's why she's making $2 million a year, because for the last 30 years, she's been practicing her skills. Now, does it mean that she's the best at it? No. You can have someone who does it for 1 year who has better communication skills because there's also talent. Or you're talented in it or you're not. The majority of people are not really talented communicators. Which means that we need even more skill practice. If you're not naturally like what you call, oh, she's a salesman, he's a salesman, this guy can do sales very good, this person can do sales very good, you know, the typical salesperson stigma. That's normally what it is an expressive personality style. People that have expressive personality style are naturally influencers. They influence people by how they speak. They talk in a certain way that influence other people to make a decision, to take action. That's an expressive personality style. But you have also another emotional style, which is the amiable, the steady person on the DISC test. It's the S profile. And the S profile on the DISC shows you that the person is very timid, is very shy, is very, soft-spoken. You have to slow down when you talk to them. You have to change completely all your attitude. And it's all about, how do you feel about this? Like, if we can do this for you, how do you feel about that? That's amiable. You got to change how you speak with these people. So it's not enough for you to know what to say. It's not enough that you know what's the next sentence. It's not enough that you know how to handle objection. You'd still need to match the personality style in front of you. And if you're presenting to a couple, a husband and wife, and the husband is a driver, and the wife is an expressive, amiable, as an example, now you're presenting to two completely different personality styles, and you need to know when to shift, when to go right, left, who do you talk to, and in order to get to that level of communication, it takes years to go there. That's why I always tell people, if you want to make money in real estate, between 12 and 18 months, we can 6 figures. $100,000 a year in real estate is really not a lot of money. It's a very, very low production. Making 100,000 a year is low production. And if you want to go to high production, you really want to develop skills. So you can just see from what we spoke about so far, how much investment, time investment, sweat equity you got to put into this in order to really become an outstanding real estate agent. I'm talking someone who can talk to anyone and get an appointment on the spot. You also need to, have skills in time management. You need to understand how to block times on your schedule, how to delegate as well. So people management is more of delegation. You will reach a point in your real estate career, hopefully, if you really build it seriously and you stick to what we teach you and you stick to me with coaching and the consultation sessions we do, and you keep going and you keep getting in action, as long as you take action on the business plan we put in front of you, we will talk about people management at one point in time where you need to hire someone to work for you, and how to choose the right people to work for you, and how to build a team, and then how to manage your production. So there's a lot of different things, a lot of skills you need to build as you build this business. A lot of work. Now, prospecting, you need to memorize and internalize the language. Scripts and dialogues, when you call people, who do you call for sell by owners, expired listings, investors, first-time buyers, experienced buyers, sphere of influence, past clients, other realtors, door-to-door prospecting, farming, and you need to know the language, obviously. So if you learn how to memorize, internalize scripts and dialogues, when you speak with people, you already have it in your brain. It's like becoming your language when you're at work. that means that you internalize the script. I want you guys to get there. Some of you I've been working with for months, okay? And some of you that I'm working with for months still don't even know, did not memorize one single script, which tells the new people here that, you know, you can make a decision at the beginning of your career. Who do you want to be? Do you want to be an agent that want to and then never does? Or do you want to be a person who actually take action and bring, you know, results? So you need to know the language, scripts and dialogues when you follow up with buyers, sellers, investors, and everybody else. You need to schedule a qualified appointment with these. You can do that only when you have your communication skills with you. If I know how to handle every single for sale by owner objection, if I already know what the for sale by owner is going to say when I call them, I know exactly what they're going to say because there's just like 5, 6 different directions that the phone call can take. And I study these 5, 6 directions and I know what to say at every direction in order to bring it back to where I want to go. Then I can handle the objections I'm receiving and I can book an appointment. So these are the kind of things that you got to learn when you do scripts and dialogues and you study how to improve your communication skills. Now, you also need to know how to pre-qualify leads. So the pre-qualification, that we have a pre-qualifying script that we gave you. You can work with the Mike Ferry script, which are very short, precise, super direct, and very easy and simple to follow. You can also work with the scripts that we're giving you on our website. These are very similar in style to the Mike Ferry script. They're very simple, very short, very easy to follow. So these are things that we gave you already. All you got to do is just internalize it, make it yours, all right? And then start working with it. Start working with all those, you know, different variations of scripts and dialogues and handling objections. And what if they say, you know, we're not interested right now? What do you say to that? What do you say when it's for sale by owner tells you, I can do this by myself. I don't need you. What do you say when a FISBO tells you, I'm doing an open house on Sunday? If you want, you can just come by and bring a buyer. I mean, there's so many different variations of leads. You got to know each and every one of them if you really want to be successful and you want to create a lot of leads. This real estate is about getting leads converted into appointments. That's the game. That's the game. What's the game here? Well, the game is generate a bunch of leads or purchase a bunch of leads and then convert those leads into appointments. That's the game. So just to talk a little bit about pre-qualifying. Top producers pre-qualify 100% of the buyers and sellers and investors appointments they have. And they know the language needed for the process. Top producers don't spend any time at all with unqualified prospects. I never worked with any buyer that was not qualified, motivated, and realistic, and pre-approved. And the same goes for the seller. If the seller doesn't need to sell right now, they might want to sell, but they're not ready to list. Why should I go out there and meet with these people? Top producers prefer to continue prospecting instead of going out to meet with an unqualified lead. This particular sentence right here, top producers prefer to continue prospecting instead of going out and meet an unqualified lead. That is the best thing that you can ever do to your business. Because sitting at my desk, I can make about 15 contacts per hour. And if I do about, I would say 50 contacts, for every 50 contacts that I'm not talking calling FISBOs and expires, because if I call FISBOs, then for every 5 FISBOs I call, I can get 1 appointment easily. And in many cases, I can also get 2 appointments. Some people much better than me can get 3, 4, 5 appointments. 5 out of 5 FISBOs, they'll go meet with them and take the listing. So what's the game? The game is you're not going out before you pre-qualify. So you need to know the language of how to pre-qualify the lead, how to pre-qualify a buyer lead, how to pre-qualify a first-time buyer, how to pre-qualify a FISBO, expired, etc. And then presenting. You need to know, understand, and internalize the language you must use in a listing presentation. You need to know, understand, and internalize the language you must use in a buyer's presentation. And then handling objections and negotiating. Know, understand, and internalize the language you must use when handling objections and negotiating the selling process with buyers, with sellers, with investors, and with other realtors. Even with realtors, if you go out there right now and you work with the buyer and you put an offer for, let's say, asking price $259, you put an offer at $259, and you're not getting a positive, feedback. you get an email telling you, we have multiple offers right now on the table. Please ask your buyers to make their highest and best with escalation clause or not, whatever the story is. And then do you understand you're in negotiation when you're in this position? You're negotiating now for someone else who trusted you, gave you a buyer exclusive agreement, and now it's your job to actually turn that into a contract. So I need you guys to understand, learning scripts and dialogues is not something that you can, wing it. You can't say to yourself, if you really want to be professional, you cannot skip this step. It's the most important step in our careers because that's what you're selling. You're not selling them, my company has, special marketing department. We put you on all the magazines. That doesn't sell a house. What sells a house is your ability to negotiate, your ability to communicate, your ability to say the right things at the right time. And then versatility. To be versatile, it means that you need to understand and know every single style of the disc profile, the driver, the expressive, the analytical, and the amiable. You got to understand each and every one of those, how they speak, what they need to hear, what they're expecting of you, how to negotiate with them, which ones need more information, which one needs less information, which ones need you to be more excited, which ones need you to be a little bit less excited. These are the things you're going to learn as you go along, developing your career. And then time management, you need to understand how to schedule yourself. That's another skill you got to have. You need to manage your time according to income producing activities. So you want to actually spend the majority of your day on activity level A. You want to learn how to maneuver clients into your ideal appointment time. What is maneuvering? I'm not talking about in a negative way. I'm talking in a positive way. You need to, for example, if someone tells you I can meet you at 10:30 a.m. and you know that you're prospecting between 8 a.m. and 12 p.m., then you can't meet them at 10:30. You got to understand how to move that around and put that appointment on your schedule when you are available. Using accountability partners and follow up, your schedule verbatim. These are things that you need to learn how to do. You also need to, people management, understand how to manage activities, how to lead people, how to hire, doing the hiring process, training process, retraining, retaining. I mean, there's so many different things you got to do when you start building this into the next level. But until you do 25 deals by yourself, we don't even need to talk about that. So that's very advanced. All right. So this is what we're going to talk about today. Phase 7 next week, we're going to talk about deciding which path you want to take. And we will spend a lot of time on difference between working buyers and working with sellers. But right now, it's not really important for you. So let's just summarize what we spoke about. In order to understand exactly what needs to be done, you have to understand that your job is to really focus on developing skills, okay? Communication skills. That's all you've got, guys. All you have is your ability to communicate. You don't need anything else in real estate. Yes, you still need to know, obviously, the market. And we'll talk about that. But what you're really selling people is service. And service is all about communicating. You need to understand how to communicate with these people in order for them to trust you and give you what you need, which is a signature. Questions about this segment?
Good morning.
If you have any questions, open up the mic. I see Lizette with a question.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I do role playing twice at 3 times a week, right? So
yeah,
in the communication skills, I've been developing it by either role playing it or practicing on my own. So is there anything else that I'm missing? Like,
yes, you're missing handwriting the script. We spoke about it also in other sessions. Let me just rewind here real quickly. To memorize a script, the easiest way to do that is to, and I'm going to send a text with the steps, okay, to the group.
Okay.
But the number one thing, if you wanted to go to your subconscious mind, you need to spend time handwriting it. You need to take the script and handwrite it. And I suggest you take one script per month. You won't be able to take all those scripts and study them in 2 weeks. You need to take 1 month per script. So if you're working, the majority of your lead generation is Feasible as an example, you're going to work with Feasible. If you do Feasible and Expired both, then you have to study both. It just means it's going to take you longer. So handwrite the script at least one time, and you got to do that every day. So every day when you start, you handwrite the script. Most scripts are 1 page. So you just handwrite 1 page, takes about 5 minutes. When you're done with that, then you need to jump into reading it, standing up. You have to stand up when you do it. You're reading it out loud as fast as possible. And when you do that, your tongue and your mouth gets used to reading that specific script. So it sounds natural. It sounds like it's you. It gives you a lot of ability later on to play with it, because some people on the phone, when they pick up the phone, some of them speak very fast. You will have to speed up your normal speed in order to build rapport with these people. Because if someone speaks super fast and you're going to come in, how are you? How you doing? My name is, and they hung up on you. So you got to learn how to do it fast or slow. So you're going to chant out loud the script 10 times as fast as possible. Then you're going to read it out loud in your own speed, record yourself when you do that, and then listen to the recording. I also suggest you to listen to the recording the first thing when you wake up in the morning. It goes right into your subconscious mind. And the last thing of the day when you go to sleep, listen to the recording and fall asleep with it. That speeds up the process by 50%. If you want to memorize a script, you need to listen to it while you're falling asleep. So that's the fastest way to learn any script. I suggest everybody to learn the listing presentation script. You need to know it. But you need to understand also you can read it. So when you sit in front of a seller, you're just going to say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I prepared a lot of different notes today. Do you mind if I read from my notes as we progress throughout the presentation? Oh, no, for sure. Yeah, you can read. I just open up my script book and I'm reading from it, but I'm not reading like word by word because I already memorized it. It's just in front of me and I follow through in my presentation. So you have to memorize, internalize your presentation. You have to memorize, internalize all the objections in the listing presentation. And then you have to generate leads. If you're going to prepare yourself to do a listing presentation and you will be ready for it, it will be easier for you then to turn phone calls into appointments because you know how to do the presentation. But if you don't know how to present and you're scared of a listing presentation because you don't know what to do yet, you're scared of, oh, what if I call someone and they say, okay, come over? For that reason, I always teach the listing presentation first. But then you'll need to generate leads. So you'll need to call for sale by owners, expireds, which is the two highest levels of
Conversion.
Leads, of sellers leads. These are the highest 2 sellers leads. For rent by owner comes right after that. And then you do obviously geo, and well, better than geo first is sphere of influence and past clients. And it's best if you don't just call your center of influence and past clients and just, schmoozing with them on the phone, because that's not prospecting. Schmoozing is not prospecting. So, and you need to understand that. And then geo leads, so all that stuff, you got to learn all these scripts. The best way to learn, handwrite, chant it as fast as possible every day. You got to handwrite once a day, chant it out loud 10 times, read it out loud in your normal speed, recording yourself, listen to the recording, in the morning, listen to the recording when you go to sleep. Tomorrow, you're going to re-record because every day it changes. And then you'll start recognizing, wow, on my 30th day, I was so much better than on my first day. And you need to recognize that. And if you keep the recording, it's perfect, because then you can really play out all these recordings and see how you progress throughout this thing. And I need you also to understand, I spoke to that lady. She's been 40 years in the business and she still role plays. She's still chanting out loud. So you got to do that as well. And the 5th step is role play. You got to role play every day. You should role play with different partners every single day. Different partners every day, not the same person, because you're not improving. You're not improving, and it gets boring when you do with the same person. So you want to change different partners. You can do it one day with your husband. You can do another day with your sister. You can do another day with another agent, another day with another agent, another day with a different agent. So, play along with it. But what you should be really doing is put it on your schedule. If it's not on your schedule, it's not going to happen. If something is not on your schedule, it's not happening. people tend to, and businesses tend to deal with emergencies instead of with important things. You got to deal with important things. The most important thing for you is lead generation and lead conversion. Whatever else is when it needs to be done is a B, C, D activities. Next question. Okay, any more questions about this subject? If not, I will see you guys this Tuesday at 6:30. Some of you this Tuesday at 6:30 for coaching, and then we'll next week we're not going to have a session because it's a holiday. We will meet again. Now, let me just look at my schedule real quick. We're meeting again, I believe, on the 12th is Easter Sunday. We're meeting again on the 19th. So the next time we'll meet is on the 19th. We will do session 7 and 8. We will do 2 sessions in one. All right, guys, between now and then, go on our website, download the scripts and dialogues, start exercising, start role-playing, start chanting out loud. Those of you that are not licensed yet, you didn't do the test or whatever the story is, if you do this right now, trust me, by the time you get your license, you're ready to start working. So you want to do the homework. All right, guys, I'll see you soon. Have a good weekend and be careful.
Thank you as well.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.